Hello there, and welcome to the Pint-Sized Healing Podcast. My name is Max Thompson. Let's get started. So, I think everybody who is on this kind of healing path knows that it's not linear, it's not kind of consistent, it's not, sometimes it's a little bit hard to predict. Uh, and But one of the things that I've really noticed is that, there's these kind of waves of healing that you do, almost like you find something or you feel something, and you're thinking about it, you're feeling about it, you're figuring out what is going on, and then you're doing all the healing work that I'm not going into just now. But then kind of there you get to a point where you've processed it, you kind of know where it's coming from, you've dealt with things, and then you need to let that go, right? Because I think where we hold on to pain or grief or those kind of negative feelings, that's when our pain can really turn into something quite destructive to not just our minds or our moods, but to our physical selves, to our relationships. That stuff, toxicity, it spreads like wildfire. And so once we've done a lot of that processing healing work, then there comes a point where, okay, now we need to let it go. And I think often that is a step that we kind of skip, or we don't always fully understand the importance of marking that as a step, right? Maybe we let it go, but we just kind of do it in the midst of things. And I think it's really important that we actually are aware of us letting it go and how that feels, because there's something to and however you describe that. I describe it as releasing that energy into the universe, but I am not, I'm not trying to subscribe to you how you should talk about your own kind of spiritual world or how you view the world. But I do think that there's something to, there's a transition of, I'm holding on to pain, I'm processing the pain, and then I'm letting it go, right? And I think that letting it go step needs to be something that we are a little bit more aware of. And so for me, what really works with that is to create a little ceremony of sorts. I think ceremony is very important when it comes to our healing work, and especially when it comes to this step of letting things go. A few years ago, and I've written a blog post about this on the website at the time, so this was really a couple of years back. There was some things that I was wanting to let go, and my husband as well, and so we wrote some of that stuff down on paper, and we folded it into origami butterflies, and we let the butterflies, we let them run down the rapids of the river that we lived close by. And so it was, it was the whole ritual of it. It was writing those things down. It was making the butterflies. The butterflies were specific, felt specific to us at the time. It was an imagery that spoke to us. And then we went to the river, which is one of our favorite spots in the world, and we sat there with these thoughts, and we released them into the water one by one, right? And don't worry, we looked up what kind of paper to use and stuff so that we wouldn't mess up the whole ecosystem. So just in case you were worried about that. But that was one way that we did it when we wanted to do that together. Now, earlier this week, I had a similar situation where I'd worked through some stuff with my coach, and I felt very compelled to write some thoughts down in a letter. And the stuff that I was dealing with particularly pertained to my father. And so I wrote a letter to him in which I shared what I wanted to share with him. And then I went outside and I burned the letter. And it was just me releasing those things that I'd wanted to say, and like I said, give that energy back to the universe. That's how, that's my wording for something like that. But it was a little ritual, right? It was me sitting down with the thoughts and the feelings, putting them down on paper. That's just a step that really works very well for me. And then release it, let it go, in some form, let it go. But what's very important, I think, is that we build these kind of rituals and ceremonies into our healing journey where we mark things. We mark that, oh, I'm ready to let this piece go. And then, and for all we know, 3 months later, 6 months later, there's another piece that we're ready to let go, and that's fine. Then do the ritual again, or do a different thing. Just kind of follow what feels good to you. But I think it's very important to mark these occasions and make it something that you're conscious of doing, letting go.